HarperCollins presents Progress, A History of Humanity's Worst Idea. Written and read by Samuel Miller Mcdonald. Note to listeners, this program includes an accompanying PDF of graphs and figures from the book. What is progress? Let the philosophical observer commence a journey from the savages of the Rocky Mountains eastwardly towards our sea coast. These he would observe in the earliest stage of association, living under no law but that of nature. He would next find those on our frontiers in the pastoral state, raising domestic animals. And so, in his progress, he would meet the gradual shades of improving man until he would reach his as yet most improved state in our seaport towns. This, in fact, is equivalent to a survey in time of the progress of man from the infancy of creation to the present day. And where this progress will stop, no one can say. Barbarism has, in the meantime, been receding before the steady step of amelioration, and will in time, I trust, disappear from the earth. This passage is from a letter Thomas Jefferson wrote in 1824, 2 years before his death and 41 years after the end of the American Revolutionary War. Jefferson was the United States' third president and one of the country's most important founders. This short text illuminates both the spiritual foundation of the country and the idea at the heart of this audiobook. So let's deconstruct it. If you were to travel from the Rocky Mountains in the west to the Atlantic coastline in the east, Jefferson suggests, the land you would pass through and the buildings dotted along your road would appear as they had at earlier points in human history, as if you were traveling along not just miles, but centuries. Your journey would reflect the passage of time, the progress made by European settlers since they reached the east coast of North America. In other words, by savages living under no law but that of nature, Jefferson means that at the Rockies there would be ancient wilderness, housing violent fur-clad people without society who foraged for food and shelter, and dangerous beasts, representing life in humanity's earliest years. By the time you reached what are now the Midwestern states, you would find early agricultural societies, flocks of sheep, herds of cattle, and rows of corn and wheat surrounding simple towns and villages. Finally, reaching the end of your mirror image quest of American westward frontier expansion, arriving in Washington, D.C., New York City, or Boston, you would find the as yet most improved state of human beings and their societies, laws, dense cities, bustling trade, and sophisticated technology. There you could rest assured that such developments would continue into a bright future. What Jefferson is sketching out is a grand narrative in a specific tradition that can be best captured in one word: progress. Pick up any crime novel, and you are likely to find the narrative formula. The details may change from story to story, but the general structure stays the same. A crime is committed, a detective begins the process of finding and piecing together clues, and the story culminates with the crime solved and the criminal brought to justice. Like crime novels, narratives of progress follow their own formula. This excerpt from Jefferson's letter offers an ideal distillation of that formula. Though the details have changed through time, from culture to culture, the formula's essential elements have remained remarkably consistent over not just centuries, but millennia. The formula starts in the dark and wild beginning of humanity and moves forward and upward into a superior, more refined present, through changes that compound over time, culminating in some still vague, ever-future paradise. The story always parcels its characters into a binary, splitting those deemed civilized from the savage, the heathen from the blessed, the wild from the domesticated, the developed from the undeveloped. There is almost always some kind of frontier space, physical or metaphorical, into which the blessed must enter. The salvation awaiting in the future is set aside for the chosen, but only if they remain obedient to this quest, or rather to those leading it. This narrative formula has served as the intellectual foundation on which Western civilization itself has grown and spread. The American sociologist Robert Nisbet, the last author to publish a broad historical account of the idea of progress, wrote of the concept in 1980, "No single idea has been more important in Western civilization for nearly 3,000 years." The narrative formula of progress has been important for even longer than that, across many geographies and cultures.
Sample complete. Ready to continue?